Welcome, fellow wine lovers. This is the Wine Ghost podcast. I'm Mate Bosch, a certified sommelier and seeker of hidden stories behind the most mysterious drink in history. For more information or direct contact, please look for the Wine Ghost on Instagram and Facebook. But now, please grab a glass, get comfortable, and listen to how the day's ghosts get out of the bottle. So the fifth as well as the last episode of the Balaton Upland series so far. This time we arrived to the biggest hill of this region, the Badacsony. This volcanic mountain rises boldly right on the northern shore of the lake. My guest is Lilla Laposa, the youngest member of the prestigious Laposa winery family from the hill. Although they founded several successful tourist attractions in the region, the most beloved one might be their wine terrace, which has one of the most magnificent views around the lake, so if you visit the region in the future, please don't miss it. Their wines are bursting of minerality, complexity, authenticity and history, so it's no surprise that the Laposa name became a go-to for every Badacsony wine lovers in the country and as well as internationally. But let's hear more from Lilla herself. And welcome to the show, Lilla. How are you today?
Hello, thanks for asking. I am really well.
Great. So this is the fifth episode and another hill in the Balaton Upland series. Can you please shortly introduce the Balaton terroir and your unique terroir that you have on the Badacsony Hill?
So about the terroir, what I would say that really only a few people know, but Badacsony in the Tapolca Basin and all the volcanic mountains around that you have mentioned, like Csobánt, Köveshegy, Gulács, they are all really, really old. So they have been inactive for a very long time now. So let's say that they belong among the oldest volcanic mountains. They are older, for example, than Etna or Vesuvio, that only a few people know. And just recently, there was this movement also in international wine press that volcanic wines, I would not say better, but they are really, really characteristic and strong. So there is like more attention towards our Badacsony region and towards the volcanic soil itself. We mostly focus on Welsh Riesling, which is not really an existent type of grape in the Western cultures, because if you say Riesling, then obviously it's going to be the original Rhine Riesling. And genetically, they are not even related, as a lot of people know who care a little bit about wine. So that always makes really hard when we say that Welsh Riesling, which in international press sometimes is called Italian Riesling or Riesling Italico in Latin languages, is our main focus, which we call Hungarian grape, which is also not true again, but that's what we produce in the most, because this is the grape which suits best all these volcanic slopes, and that's the most popular Hungarian white wine variety among the people who like dry wine and not only want to drink Tokaj dry. But
what do you think are the main differences between, so to say, the German Riesling and the
German
Olaszrizling
the Rhine Riesling?
in taste?
So basically, they have nothing in common. The only thing in common that they are both suitable to make dry white wine, but I wouldn't say they have anything in common, because they don't. They are really different in terms of also what technology they like and how they like being harvested or prepared. So Rhine Riesling, for example, really doesn't like barrel. So all the famous, really nice German Rieslings, they are usually 100% stainless steel in Germany, in Austria, and also we do our Rhine Riesling 100% stainless steel. Meanwhile, Olaszrizling or Welsh Riesling or Riesling Italico really likes the barrel, so you can make a lot of different style wines, and it all has this almondy feeling, almondy finish at the end. All the Olaszrizling. So Olaszrizling is a really nice grape because you can do 100% stainless steel, really easy and fresh wine to drink in the summer, or also to do the Hungarian tradition to drink it with soda. Meanwhile, Rhine Riesling is a more more difficult in that terms, and then it really only likes stainless steel, but it also really likes the volcanic terroir. So it finds itself really comfortable in the Badacsony region.
And how would you maybe distinguish the German Rieslings, like for example from the Mosel, which mainly has schist as a soil and a main soil, and you have basalt most of the terroirs, right? So how would in terms of taste, how would you maybe differentiate between the two, or if you have a blind tasting?
The German Rieslings are more characteristic in the terms of this. Like if you open a book and you want to have the characteristics of the Rhine Riesling, then the German Rieslings are more from the book. Meanwhile, our Riesling, you can feel a little bit that petrol feeling, which should be the main characteristic of the Rhine Riesling, but not as hard, and you always feel the terroir. So basically all our wines have this little salty and mineral aftertaste in them, or sometimes it's not only an aftertaste, but for example with Kéknyelű, which is an autochthon grape, you can feel the saltiness all along when you drink the wine. So that's the main difference.
And now you mentioned Kéknyelű. Can you maybe introduce shortly this variety? And because maybe a lot of listeners, especially from foreign countries, they haven't even heard about this variety, but this is very typical to the place.
That's not only typical, it's like a protected origin grape. So it's an autochthon grape variety that can only be planted and grown in our Badacsony wine region. It almost extincted during communism, when they were making just volume wines, and they didn't care that much about the quality. Kéknyelű only has a female flower. So it means that it needs a partner to be able to grow, which makes the plantation really difficult. So basically you do 2 lines of Kéknyelű, and then in one line you need or Budai Zöld or Rózsakő, which are now the two official partners by the wine law that you can plant. And then you need the bees, you need the wind, and you need a lot of luck for your Kéknyelű to grow and to be happy. But on the other hand, Kéknyelű is such a neutral and beautiful type of grape that when you grow it in this region on the volcanic soil, it really gives you that natural saltiness that you really would like to show to your people, because that's absolutely a wine which goes with the terroir. So if you want to show the terroir, then I would suggest everyone to try the Kéknyelű. So that's why it's so beautiful. Besides all the problems and all the difficulties that it has during growing, it gives a really nice volcanic terroir wine.
And speaking about the terroir, can you maybe introduce how should listeners imagine this kind of landscape also on the northern shore of the Lake Balaton, and the different little mountains, little volcanic mountains like Somló, Badacsony, and Szentgyörgy Mountain, and where are your parcels really located, and what are the commonalities?
So it's all volcanic. So all the mountains on the northern shore of the lake are volcanic. So that's really easy in that terms. We have parcels in Badacsony, Gulács, Csobán, Köveshegy, so basically all the Tapolca basin and the Kali basin. We don't have any more Szentgyörgy because we have sold that. It's a little bit further away for logistics. It's the only important thing is that now it's really getting an attention that the volcanic soil gives something plus to the wines. They are a bit more gritty, salty, and powerful. Not everyone likes them, but it's really 100% true that they are distinctive. They are often on hillside, so the volcanic soil. Like we focus on buying like really nice quality land, and most of the southern slopes are cultivated of these mountains, and sometimes also under the mountains you can find some grapes, but really rarely you find the grapes on the northern side. So basically, it looks like when you arrive, it looks like you have all the hills around and you have the lake. So sometimes the lake, when you don't have such a big visibility, it looks like a sea, because if you don't see the other side, then it looks really big. It's like 80 kilometers long, so not a lot of people know, but this is the biggest sweet lake in Central Europe. So it's quite a view.
And which effects does the lake really give to the wine, or why does it make the terroir special?
It doesn't make the terroir special. It makes the microclimate special. So I wouldn't say that it makes the terroir special, because if that would be a limestone mountain in front, still the lake would have some effect. So what it does, that in really, really hot summer days, the evenings are much cooler. So basically, the lake stays warm, and it kind of vaporizes all the water during the night. So it comes up when the weather is colder at night. The water comes up, so it vaporizes, and it kind of keeps and gives humidity to the Badacsony mountain, so only to the mountains which are really lakefront, that it creates a really nice microclimate where it never gets too cold and never gets too hot. Of course, it gets too hot during the day, but it kind of balances it. So it's really good for the grape, because even in a year when there is like less rain, we still have this humidity.
And also it gives also very even ripening, right? Because the units are not so great. So it's also the basalt, it keeps the warmth for a very long time, right?
Right. So during the night, when you have the humidity from the lake, then the basalt stones keep all the warmth that they got during all the day. And even when it's just like not such a strong sun, still the basalt can get hot really easily. And then they give back that warmth during the night as well.
And I want to talk a little bit about Ufart, because it's very, it's a match, so to say. It's a natural match, but they claim that Ufart and Shomlo. You also have some Ufart planting and Shomlo, and maybe you have other varieties which you are experimenting it and Shomlo.
So basically, we sold that land as well as Szengyerfegy, because we wanted to concentrate more in Badacsony. But of course, we still have the Ufart. We still have all the vintages before we sold it. So now we are selling the 2016 Golden Hill Ufart from Shomlo. That of course in 2016 it was still ours, and also we are going to have vintage 2017 and 2018. Because Ufart is really, it's really important in Hungary. It's again something so special, like Kéknyelű, that only a few people know it. But the people who know it, they are really like real fans. For example, to be really honest, it's not my wine, because for me it's a bit too animalistic, a bit too veggie. But it's really, really, some people are just in love with it. So you have people who either like hate it or who are standing in a line to be able to drink the park. And also it was associated with the honeymoon's wine, or I don't know how to say, because there is a legend.
Yeah, for the Habsburgs.
If you're drinking that, you're going to have a boy, which of course a lot of people want to have boys. So that's the other legend from the Shomlo. Shomlo is located a bit more inside. So it's a really similar mountain to Badacsony, but it doesn't have the vicinity and the microclimate of the lake.
And how would you notice it, maybe if you have a blind tasting of two Ufarks from Badacsony and from Shomlo? Could you maybe tell the differences, or how would it be different in terms of acidity, maybe residual sugar, or I don't know if it depends also on the winemaking, but how would you characterize the different tastes, the differences between these two mountains?
To be honest, you shouldn't have a Ufark from Badacsony. It's something associated with the Shomlo region. So there are some people who do and then try, but it's not a real life situation, I would say. So Ufark should be really from
Shomlo. You also mentioned some other varieties like Rózsakő, which is also a very special one and maybe fit more the volcanic soil and the volcanic terroir, so to say, or microclimate. How would you characterize this variety, for example? Because it's also very rare.
We don't really use the rózsakő. We just use it to make our Kéknyelű be perfect. So I'm not the best person to describe the rózsakő.
And to talk about other wines or the assortment what you have, because you are mainly the responsible person for also export and the gastronomy. How would you, or could you maybe introduce the assortment what you have of the wines?
What we do is we have 3 different lines. We try to really separate the items which can go into supermarket, hypermarkets, or any other, so to say, retail chains. So what we do is we have one baseline. It's not really nice to call them like this because they are really nice quality wines, but they are a bit easier to drink. They are something to talk next to them for hours, not something to talk about hours. So these are the fresh, the fragrant, and the rosé. So these are the three wines that we are not really choosing so carefully the location where they are sold. So they are sold in discounts, in hypermarkets, and in supermarkets. The fresh is one of the most popular dry stainless steel wine in Hungary that you can buy in its price category. So anywhere I go and I say my name, they always, oh, fresh, and it's really something that I wouldn't say everybody, but people who drink wine, they know Laposa fresh. So it's a really nice feeling. So just because of wine is like an entry level or a base wine, it doesn't mean it doesn't have to be a really good quality. So we always focus on fresh and fragrant to have a really nice quality, because that's the wines that most people meet in most places. If your first wine is not a really good quality, then you don't get a chance. You don't get a second chance with customers about your premium line. So that's why we always very keen on producing something in that price category, which people really love. And so far we have been successful with that. So that's would say that's the entry level. Then we have 2 wines which are made in an association, the Balaton Upland. So it's an association that was formed a few years ago to avoid the seasonality of the Balaton, to show the different faces and to show that Balaton is not only a holiday destination, but it can be a really beautiful wine region. So all the wineries can enter into a so-called competition for a blind tasting. There are some characteristics and some rules that the wines need to be on that style and that level. There is a Balatonbor and Hegybor. Also in the name, you can feel that Balatonbor is something easier and Hegybor already needs to grow on a hill, so it's something more. These are the 2 that we formed with the Balatoniker in this association, and we really would like to emphasize the importance of Balaton as a wine region and show it to people who are, I don't know, in Budapest in some restaurant, and they can, oh yeah, that's Balatonbor. Oh, I know that because it's something I can choose from different producers, but it doesn't matter where it comes from. I always have the guarantee of the Balaton liquor for the quality. So that's also a really important job that we are making. And then we have our premium and selection lines. In the premium, we work with Pinot Grigio, Rheinriesling, of course, a Wildflowers that comes back in most of our portfolio. We have a Furmint from Kövön, and we have Kéknyelű. And then we have like the very selected items, which is one Apukan, which would be the translation Budai Zöld. That's our, I would say, most important Wildflowers in terms of what we can show about Wildflowers for the people, because we have really different Wildflowers. We have 4 Hills, which is the most sold premium Wildflowers that we have, and we have Apukan, but they are really different in style. So you can really show a lot of faces of the Wildfriesling. And then in this selection line, we can find another Kéknyelű, which comes only from the barrel, from a small barrel, just in limited number of pieces, and also the youth park enters into that. So let's say that the portfolio is really wide, but it's mostly dry white wines, because that's what we focus on, and the dry white wines which feel themselves the best on the volcanic soil and in this climate that Badacsony can give you.
And in terms of winemaking methods, because you also mentioned that you, for some whites, you also use barrel, right?
Right.
For the aging. And which varieties like this style of winemaking or aging better, and maybe in terms of maybe quality, canopy management or viticulture, which differences did you observe?
It's really easy because from all the premium lines, we really control the grapes, so we keep them like under 1 kilo per wine, which is a really nice limitation. So that's how we control the quality and the quantity. And of course, for the entry level, this can go up a little bit. So from the entry level, we harvest a bit more. And in terms of stainless steel or barrel, it all depends on the end result that we would like to get. Of course, for a nice wine that you use only in the summer, it's never going to be in the barrel. It's like something that you would like to finish in one season. You don't need to use the barrel. For like longer aging and some grapes that really like the barrel, for example, Ufark or also more serious Wildfriesling, there you use the barrel.
And in terms of the assortment, you only mentioned like white varieties. Why do you think it is that volcanic terroirs, or especially Badacsony, is so focusing on white varieties? Because if you take a look at the world, there are some terroirs, volcanic terroirs, which are also producing blue grapes or cultivating blue grapes and producing red wines.
Badacsony would be too cool. It's a cooler climate. Red wine needs a hotter climate. So it's not only about the terroir. It's just all this harmony that you have in Badacsony with the climate and with the terroir. It's much more suitable for white wines. There are some people who make red wine, so it's not impossible. You can make really nice red wine, but you can do excellent white wines. So when you can produce excellent white wines, there is no need to produce just good red. You should go with the excellent white. So it's more about the climate. It's a little bit cold in that part of Hungary for the red wines.
And you also visited, because there are some volcanic wine fairs, if I'm correct. Why do you think that the volcanic terroirs or climate are getting more hype these days, or getting more attention? Why do you think this is going into that direction?
As I mentioned in the beginning, it's because even if you wouldn't say that they are better, they are definitely distinctive. So you can really, really, really recognize if you're drinking a mineral and volcanic wine, because you can feel that saltiness that you don't find from different soils. And I think people just started to feel this, and a lot of people like this saltiness in the wines. For example, I really like it. But of course, I was grown up in that kind of taste. So it's I think they're getting more attention because they are really distinctive. So it's something unique, and it's something that only like 1% of the full Earth is volcanic origin. So it's something, people always like when something is unique.
And in terms of the business side, because you have a very complex business or brand, so to say, because the main focus is the winemaking, of course, but which other sources or channels did you find, or did you invent, also not only promote the wines but also the place Badacsony?
The main focus is, as I said, to forget the seasonality of the lake and to concentrate that all the Balaton, not only Badacsony, but the whole Balaton, and also, of course, Badacsony, are wine regions as well. So if you see the tourism of Villány or Eger or Tokaj, people go all year round, and that's how it should be. So there should be something every weekend. It shouldn't be just the seasonality of the lake, and people shouldn't just go there on holiday, but they should make specific wine trips. So that's the main focus that we are doing. That's why we are investing so much into gastronomy and into events that we are organizing on spot. So this is a really nice and important work that we are doing. And slowly, there are more people every year in October or anytime.
And I know it's the second year of the Gastro Mountain event series, right?
Yes, right.
And can you maybe tell us something about that?
It's an event that is happening only in Badacsony. So all the restaurants who make part are participating. They make a special menu. There is a thematic week. It's a thematic weekend. So every month there is one weekend during the winter time or during the low season time when we are making a theme. Like for example, this weekend it will be fish. So every restaurant is preparing 1 or 2 or even 5 items just with fish, and people can go around and taste something everywhere. So it's a smaller portion. So basically you can try something in every restaurant if you wish and have some nice wine pairs. And it's advertised, it's promoted, so a lot of people know about that. So if you really would like to spend a nice gastro weekend and a gastro event, you can just come to Badacsony.
What would you say that the typical wine pairings should look like, or is it just would you say any commonalities if you want to do food wine pairings for these kind of wines?
To be honest, it's really easy to cook with this kind of wine. So there are a lot of type of dishes that go really well, like from a very, very trivial wine pairing like fish with white wine. You can use that, but you can also go with pasta, you can go with risotto, you can go with even like lighter meats, because of the saltiness. It depends on how you or what you prepare next to the meat. It can still be okay even with pork. So you don't really have to be very, very strict on that.
And what's your favorite pairing, maybe, if you could, or favorite food wine pairing from this region, if you have any?
I really like the Kéknyelű with different kind of fish dishes. Depends on the season what you can get next to your fish. But I really love our Kéknyelű.
Maybe just to reflect on the Hungarian wine market, because I think it's a very special market also in Europe because it's history and also the period after the Iron Curtain. And you work also in the export side of the business. How do you see the possibilities of Hungarian wine, and also in terms of marketing, how people welcome these wines, so to say?
I think, unfortunately, I still have to be honest. Still, we have a really bad reputation. So I think first of all we need to work on our marketing and on our reputation, because the wines are much better than the reputation of the wines abroad. And still a lot of people just think that Hungary is an inexistent wine country, which is really not true. Because we have a really long history in winemaking. So since the 1000s, there was always wine in the Carpathian Basin. But the last 50 years didn't really help, as you are saying. So I think there is still a really long road to go. And I'm not even sure how quick it can be. I think we really need to be patient. But the first steps would be really the country marketing itself. It's not even just the wine marketing that needs to get better, but it has to be the country marketing, and the tourism should come out a little bit from Budapest. So that's also very concentrated at this point. It's very concentrated in Budapest.
But how would you give a better image to the country, so to say, or to the best?
It's not only the image. It's just also the visibility of the country. So first of all, there are still a lot of places in the world where they really don't consider Hungary. So I know it's ugly to say, but it's true. And especially when it comes to wine, they are like, "Oh, you have wine in your country." I'm like, "Yes, and we have really good wine." So it's a it's a really long topic, and it's a long road. But unfortunately, until we have places that they don't even know that we exist, it's very difficult because it's really marketing is very complex, and it's really difficult to decide where to go, where to market. So it's a very hard work on deciding which trade fair, for example, to go there with the Hungarian tourism or with the Hungarian wines. So there are some things happening, but it's not only the problem of marketing. It's the problem of getting to that many places to show how beautiful our country is, or to invite people to come over.
What are your typical markets for export? Or which markets do you see are more resilient to your products and which are more welcoming, so to say?
Poland and Czech Republic and the neighboring countries are really welcoming because, of course, they know all the history, so they don't have to re-understand everything. So that's quite nice. Then we have like Belgium, Holland. Nordic countries are difficult because of the monopoly, but we have really a lot of people, tourists coming from Nordic countries, and they really absolutely in love with Badacsony. So that's really good. But because of the monopoly, we cannot really get into the real export market. But it's already nice that they are coming and trying the wines, and they like it.
In my opinion, what's Hungary is really missing is that to pair faces with the wines, so to say, because I think it's a great disadvantage that we don't have any master sommeliers and masters of wine who can really represent the countries and also maybe microclimates and terroirs of Hungary. Because, for example, you mentioned the volcanic wine trend, so to say. So, for example, John Sabo, who wrote this volcanic wine book, I think it really made some terroirs famous and also maybe paired some faces. Would you say that this kind of marketing is really missing, where reliable faces stand behind certain destinations?
He put us in his book, so he did that type of marketing for us, I would say. So for example, that's already really nice that he, with his name, put also Hungary and the Hungarian volcanic soil in his book. So I think that's a good way to start, and it's a good road to go. So I really do believe in this volcanic movement.
And also, how do you imagine also the Laposa brand and also yourself and what is really the direction where you would like to go also with the wines and with the brands in the future?
I do believe in Laposa, so I think we have a great future, and we just have to be patient about the export market, and just don't give up. So I think that we can really get to a result, maybe not to the same result as we are doing in Hungary, because in Hungary we are quite popular, but we can get to some results, and we have to be really patient, because more and more times what I feel is that people would like to have unique products, and that's sure that Hungarian wine is unique. So that can be a selling point.
And in terms of the assortment, how would you expand? Maybe you're going to sparkling or sweet wines, or what?
No, we are going to do one sparkling, which is going to be method Charmat. So it's going to be a Prosecco method, but of course it will not be called Prosecco because that's Italian trademark. And we are not going into sweet or red or anything. That's the only new product that we are going to have in the next years.
And for the sparkling, which grape varieties would you say the most fit in these types of wines, for these kind of wines and Badacsony?
It can be Furmint, can be really nice. Also we can do cuvées. So for example, it can be a cuvée of Olaszrizling and Furmint. So, and also we can use a little bit of Pinot Grigio. It needs to have higher acidity, and it needs to be more or less in mature, a little bit less mature when you harvest it. So, but the acidity is really important, because of the acidity, then it will be able to do the second fermentation and have have the bubbles inside naturally.
And also, as you mentioned, Furmint, because Furmint is really typical to Tokai, and the Tokai has also volcanic soils. And also, how would you maybe distinguish these two terroirs in terms of the wine, the taste,
So
and
it's
also the
just in the
characteristics?
recent years. It's just in the recent, like just in the past 10, 20 years that Furmint is associated only to Tokai. Because to be honest, Furmint was an original grape type, original Hungarian grape type, and it used to be a lot of Furmint in the Balaton region and also in the Somló region, and they really feel themselves very good in this region as well. But after that, for some historical reasons, Tokai took over most of the Furmint. I would say the main difference is that Tokai Furmints are more fruity, and the Balaton and Somló Rieslings are even more mineral and more salty. Because in Tokai the soil is mixed. It's not only that. So that's the main difference. I really like the Badacsony style Furmint, of course, because Furmint is famous from Tokai. It's never going to be grown in that quantity, but it doesn't even have to be. It's just to have something as well, because it's a really old and traditional Hungarian grape variety that should be found in almost every white wine regions in Hungary.
Let it be. And also, maybe if you could recommend other books, not only maybe volcanic wines, but also on Hungarian wines, or maybe do you have any books what you are reading, where listeners could go to as useful sources about those?
To be honest, I am not really ethical in this answer, but my father wrote several books from Hungarian wine regions. So of course, as we are here and I am from the family, I would recommend my father's books. He has a book about Villány, which is really interesting, and also about Balaton, and now he's writing a book about Badacsony, because that he hasn't done before. So they are not only 100% technical information on the wine region, but they are really nice stories. And that's really good for the readers. And the Villány is also translated to English.
Unfortunately, the last few sentences have been lost during the recording, so you will have to settle for my final words. Due to the remote recording, we did not have the opportunity to taste Laposa wines together, but if you visit the Wine Ghost Instagram site, you can find tasting notes of my favorite Badacsony wine there. During the last 5 episodes, I learned a lot about this mysterious and beautiful wine region right above the Lake Balaton, and I hope these conversations gave some valuable insights for all of you who are interested in trying some Balaton Upland ghosts in the future. In the next episode, you will hear from Athena Bocanis of Balinkari herself, how Hungarian wines can be marketed well overseas in New York, Brooklyn, and how the so-called Trump tariffs impacted her business. I will come up with more colorful content on the Instagram site as well, including interactive maps and introductions to indigenous grapes. So stay tuned there as well. For now, I wish you nice ghost talks for the upcoming week, and cheers!